Hello everyone, and welcome to this GoSkills webinar on Microsoft Project Top 10 Reporting Tips. My name is Bill Raymond, and I'm really excited to walk you through Microsoft Project today and show you the new reporting features that come with Project 2013, Project 2016, and Project Pro Online if you happen to be using Office 365. We're going to walk through a whole number of features here. I'm not going to read all of these off, but I will kind of walk you through them as we go. These features are broken up into three primary areas. The first is the concept of why we will build reports and how we do it. The second part is I'm going to actually show you how to build reports and some of the top tips that I use when I build reports. And then I'm going to show you how to share them as well. So let's get right into it. First of all, I'm going to run Microsoft Project, and let's talk a little bit before we go into reporting, a little bit about the past. If you use Microsoft Project before 2013, or maybe you haven't used the reporting module and you're in the new version, you know that it can be difficult to share your project information. First of all, as you can see here, I have a Gantt chart loaded for our project. This is a dummy project that I created for this webinar that walks you through building a house. But you can see as I've got this set of tasks on the left-hand side of the screen. And on the right-hand side, I have this thing called a Gantt chart. It's showing the flow of the project. It's showing all the tasks connected over time. Now, this used to be the report that we as project managers would use most. Unfortunately, though, you can see that it scrolls pretty quickly. So getting the ability to see all this information on one screen, you find yourself zooming in and zooming out, and you're losing the quality of the information. So I actually remember when I first started using Microsoft Project, this is what my reports used to look like. Now, please excuse my bad Photoshop capabilities here, but you'd see these big plotted pictures of the Gantt chart up on the wall. And people still do this today. But the issue that we have here is that sometimes people don't know how to read a Gantt chart. And of course, again, we've got this big, long timeline, and it can be difficult to read sometimes. So the next thing that we used to do when we tried to create reports is we'd export our information to Excel. I've just left Microsoft Project. I'm in an Excel now. And you can see when you export your project information to Excel, you have all this information. But once again, you need to build your reports, your charts, your graphs. So what I want to do today is show you some new features in Microsoft Project. And we're going to start by looking at this Report tab. This Report tab is available to you in Project 2013 and 2016, and they're pretty much exactly the same. There's two icons that you're going to see here, one called Compare Projects, and the other called Visual Reports, that it brings information into Excel. We're not going to be talking about those today. We're going to be talking about the new features that you can use over here in this middle set of icons. When we try to build reports, what we're doing is creating something that's visually appealing, but also focused on the audience that we're talking to. For example, if I'm talking to an executive, I might come over here to a dashboard and show the project overview dashboard. And here you can see it looks much more like some sort of a Excel report or something you build in maybe Microsoft Access. It's visual. It has information on it that is useful to the people that are working with the project with you on the project. And if I come back here to the Report tab, what you'll find is that Microsoft Project comes with a lot of built-in reports. So everything I'm showing you right now are built in. You don't need to create them because Microsoft Project created them for you. And as you can see, we have dashboard reports, resource reports. I'll just go ahead and click one here that show you some general amount of information on what our resources are doing on our project. And there's also cost reports. Here's a cash flow report. You can see that we've got charts and lines. We can put data along the top of the project. We can do kind of a nice layout for our reports so they look really good for the people that we're talking to. In this case, I might be talking to a person from finance, where I want to share financial information on my project. There's also in-progress reports. Here's, for example, a milestone report. And finally, there's even reports called Getting Started that teach you how to create reports. And there's actually steps that you can follow to create reports. And finally, there's custom reports. And here's one custom report that I created. You can see it's a very simple one that just shows all the milestones of my project. But this is basically the first thing that I wanted to show you, is that we have this new reporting module, but it can actually take a little bit of time to get used to using it. So I'm going to show you how you can create a report from scratch. I'm going to click this new report pick list. And you can see here we've got a blank, a chart, a comparison, and a table. Essentially, you can pick any of these and Microsoft Project helps you get started. But I'm going to choose the blank report. And I'm going to call this the homeowner dashboard. Now remember, this project is a project that talks about building a house. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be the project manager for this project, and you are going to be the homeowner giving me requirements. So I'll go ahead and click the OK button. And you can see Microsoft Project sets up this canvas for me, and it puts a little title up here at the top of the page. Now, since you're the homeowner, I'm going to ask you what's important. Now, as a homeowner that's doing all of this work, of course, you're spending money, you've got people working on jobs for you, you've got other things going on in order to make sure that your house is built the way you want. So I want to make sure I understand your needs so that I can create a relevant report for you. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk about how we put data onto a report. And there's really two types of ways that you can do that. As you can see, now that I'm in the reporting canvas, there's a design tab up here at the top of the screen. And there's a number of icons. Right now, what I want to focus you on are these two icons, chart and table. A chart gives you a visual view of your data that's more graphical, and a table gives you essentially what it is, a table. So let's go ahead and click on that. So what I've done is I've clicked on table, and Microsoft Project automatically displays this for me. It has the task name, the start, the finish, and the percent complete. Now you might be noticing right now that when you insert the table onto the screen, it's just showing the name of the project. And it's basically showing when the project will start and finish and how complete the project is. Well, what we want to do is display some other information. And what you've told me that you need is a list of tasks that are starting soon. You kind of want to know what's going to be coming up soon. So that way you can kind of keep an eye on it. So I'll go ahead and click this table and click this table data icon up here. Whoop. Let's try that again. There we go. Now, what we have on the right-hand side is a field list. And if I just expand this a little bit, let me walk you through this. This allows you to select all the fields that you want on your screen. So these are cost fields, text fields, date fields, pretty much any field that you need to put onto your screen, you can put into the table. For example, I'm just going to go ahead and click actual finish. Watch what happens on the table. The actual finish displays. So I'll just click this a few times. You can see that it actually changes for me. Now you might be wondering why it's only showing the project name. Let's take a look down here at the bottom of the screen, the bottom right-hand corner. What you'll see is it says, here's a filter, and it says all tasks. Well, how come it's not displaying all the tasks? Well, what you can see here is that Microsoft Project allows you to indent tasks. And every time you indent, it basically creates another level. And so if I click on this outline level, you can see I can only show level 1 tasks, level 3 tasks, or I can just show all subtasks. And now what I'm doing is displaying every task that's inside of my project. But what I want to do is filter out all the tasks except for the tasks that are starting soon. So here is where I can click the filter item here. And what I'll do is choose, let's see here, starting soon. Tasks starting soon. There we go. And so now what this list is doing here is it's just showing me the tasks that are starting in the very near future. I believe this is doing something along the lines of about 7 days. Now, as the project owner, as the homeowner, you've also told me that you want to find out what tasks are late. And I said, okay, sure, no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and add another table, and I'm going to do the same exact thing again. I'm going to go here to the outline level and choose all subtasks. You can see it puts a whole lot of tasks on there. But then I'm going to change the filter to late tasks. Now at this point in time, you can see on this filter list, there's a whole bunch of filters on my screen. Well, at the end of the day, you can create as many filters as you want, and I'm going to show that to you in a minute. But for the most part, all of these filters are already built in for you. So I'm going to go ahead and choose late tasks. So now that I've selected late tasks, we can see that we've got 3 tasks that have not completed that should have been completed. So I'm here building this report for you, and you're saying, well, wait a minute, what's going on? Who's responsible for these tasks? So what we can do over here on the right-hand side of the screen is we can locate the list of resources for our project. And so I'm going to go over here and locate that. And there it is, resource names. So it looks like you as a homeowner are there, but Peter Miles is actually the person that's responsible for managing this project on your behalf for these certain tasks, this acquire loan and acquire permits. So you know that Peter Miles is the person that you need to go and talk to. Now, one of the things that you might be a little bit concerned about here is there's a number of tasks that are pretty important, like acquiring the loan and acquiring the permits, that aren't done yet. So what you want to do is make sure that we highlight that. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to just go ahead and remove the start field, because all you care about is when the tasks are going to finish. But then this is another new feature in the reporting module, or a feature in the reporting module. And if I come up here to the design tab, you can see I can choose different colored designs for the table. So I'll go ahead and choose this orange. So this orange is really highlighting to you now that these tasks are not complete when they should have been complete. So now you're wondering to yourself, okay, I have these incomplete tasks, but now I have these other new upcoming ones. You might want to be a little bit more familiar with what's going on for your project. So what you say to me is, you know, I really want to see the tasks that are coming up in 30 days. Well, if I come over here to the filter, you can see that while I do have a 30-day planning window, I created that myself. And what I want to show you is how to create something like that. Because otherwise, every time I run the report, I'm going to have to do this thing called date range. And I'm going to have to choose a start and finish date so that Microsoft Project filters them for me. I just want Microsoft Project to always be updating this report with a running list of all the tasks coming up in 30 days. So let's go ahead and do that. The way I have to do that is I need to create a custom field first. So I'm going to come over here to the Task tab and go back to my Gantt chart. And then I'm going to go ahead to the Project tab and choose Custom Fields. And then I'll choose Flag. I'm going to rename this to 30-day window and click OK. Then I'm going to add a formula. Now, I already have a formula built, and as you may be aware, I just want to let you know, this video is being recorded. It will be available on YouTube, and we have this project that I'm building right now along with the report and the custom formula. So you won't have to remember what I'm about to paste here. But you can just see these number 30 throughout. And what this is doing is it's looking at a 30-day window. So I'll just go ahead and click OK. And one of the things that it's also doing, by the way, is it's just making sure that the tasks aren't complete. If the tasks are done, it won't display it. So I'll just go ahead and click OK. And I'll tell it to use the formula and click OK. And let's just go ahead and check it real quick. I'll choose Insert Column, and I'll add the 30-day window. And what you can see here is now everything with the word yes is our 30-day planning window. Anything with the word no means that it's coming up later at another point in time. All right, so that means I can go back to my report. And you might be wondering, I just clicked the Report tab. How do I get to that? I just clicked Report. How come it didn't show up? You actually have to select your report. So where might that be? Well, it's right here under Custom. So if I click Custom, you can see there's my homeowner dashboard. So now what I can do is add I don't want to add the custom field, but create a filter. So I already created one, but I'm going to show you how to do a new one. So what I'm going to do is make sure the tables is selected that's going to apply my 30-day filter. I'll click New Filter, and then I'll just type 30-day Outlook. I'll say that I want my field name called 30-day window, that flag 1 field we just created, equals yes. And save that. There. Now you can see I have my 30-day outlook. It's not all the tasks in the project, it's just the tasks in the next 30 days. Now you might see some tasks that actually finish in March, but remember, we're just looking at the start date. We're not looking at the finish date. Great. So as the homeowner, you're pretty happy with this. You know what's late, and you know what's coming up in your project. And that covers some of the top features that we're talking about today, which is going and building a report from scratch, and it's using tables to display data. But one of the things that we also want to do, and I think I just gave it away with that, is we want to add a chart. Now, what you're thinking here is that you'd like to see what the actual costs are for your project and what the remaining costs are. And you also want to know what might have to give if we go over budget. So sure, no problem. I'll go ahead and click Chart. And what you can see is Microsoft Project actually gives you a list of different chart types that are very similar to Microsoft Excel. As a matter of fact, pretty much anything you can create in Excel, you can also add to Microsoft Project. But this is the one that I think you're going to like the most, because we can put your actual and remaining costs by maybe some phases, and then we can go ahead and compare that to the current cost plan that we have in our project. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now here's what happens. Microsoft Project, every time you insert a chart or a table, it automatically puts some fields in there for you. In this case, it's putting actual work, remaining work, and work. Microsoft is doing this to give you a sense for how the chart will look, and it pre-selects some information so you don't start off with something blank and have to try and figure it out. So what we want to do is we want to put actual cost, remaining cost, and cost. So let's go ahead and do that now. First, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, the actual work, the remaining work, and the work. There. So now the chart's empty and we need to add data. I'm going to come back over here to this field list and I'm going to click the cost item here. And now I'll go ahead and select actual cost, remaining cost, and cost. Now, first, before I know you're going to look at this and say, hey, this doesn't look like the chart we just built, I'm actually going to show you how to address that in just a moment. But what you might notice here is that we have 3 fields, and you might be wondering what they are. The actual cost is what we've already spent on the project. The remaining cost is the money that's left. And the cost is what we're planning to spend on the project. So what you can see is Microsoft Project is this gray bar. Microsoft is actually calculating for us. Project is calculating for us what the forecasted cost is. And so we can tell right away, without even having the chart set up, that there's too much money being spent on the project right now. It looks like if we continue down this path that we are going to go over budget, perhaps. But let's get back to that chart that we really liked. And this is one of those top tips that people ask me all the time, and they're always asking, how do I get that multi-layered chart back again? Well, you click the chart, and you can right-click and choose Change Chart Type. There's also an icon at the top of the screen here, but I just like to right-click and then choose Change Chart Type. And you can see Project put it back to a line again. So what we want to do is set it back to a combo. And at this point, we can decide what are those fields that we want to display. And click OK. There, we have that back again. Now, here's something that most homeowners are not going to want to see. If you're looking at this, you can see that, we're kind of on budget, but based on the spend, because Microsoft Project calculates this for us, it looks like we're going to lose some of our money to finish doing the interior design of our project. So this is why this is very important to you. So let's go ahead and move this over here to the right. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out right now is that I'm on a very different resolution in order to present my screen. So your layout would look slightly different than mine. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here so you can see this. So now we've got basically the layout that we want. But you've also said, all right, Bill, but if you're going to create these reports for me every week, I kind of want a summary from you. I kind of want to know what's going on in the project, just in a few words. So what I can do here is come to the report tools, and there's all sorts of things that I can add to my project. And one of those things that I can add is a text box. So I'll just go ahead and add this text box right now. And this will allow me to type something in. So here's my January 2017 status report. All going well. Budget slightly off. Okay, and I can go ahead and just type in some text for you. And that way you have the chance to read it. So these are all the major tips that you need to know in order to build a report. But there's a number of things that we'd like to improve here. Well, first of all, I might be building this report for you, and I might just want to make sure that you're aware of who's sending you the report. Maybe you're getting similar reports from a lot of people. Maybe you just want to brand it. So you can come over here to design, and you can even add images. And so if I come over here to my desktop, I can go ahead and just insert a logo and put that onto the page. Most people will put the logo for their project. If you've ever worked on a project where you've created a logo, a little team logo, you can go ahead and put that on your screen as well. So this is how we build our reports. And there's some more layout things that we might want to do. For example, if I give you this report next month, you might forget, what is this top table and what is this bottom table? Notice that Microsoft Project does not give us the ability to actually define the title for these things. So I can get a little bit smart here and I can select these tables. I'm clicking on one table and clicking the Shift key on my keyboard and selecting another one. That way I can move both of them. And now what I can do is go back to this Design tab, and you can see I have other things that I can insert, like shapes. So I'll go ahead and insert a shape. And I'll just draw one that's about the same width of this table here. And I can type. I can just go ahead and type late tasks. And I can click this little Format tab and make that orange. Now I can move this table back up here, and there's my late tasks header. And I can just, move things around and arrange things as I need to. I'll just go ahead and copy and paste this, and I'll put this down here, move this up, and I'll call this the 30-day planning window. And I'll come over here and make that this sort of same blue color. And finally, let's go ahead and just do a little bit more. I'll do this real quickly. What I'm doing is, if I click a few times, it'll actually select everything. I'll just go ahead and choose cost curve. And finally, we'll do one more. And this will be for our status report. Whoop. There we go. And I'm just doing Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste status report. And here, there's no box around this, so I'll go ahead and select the text box, choose Format, and maybe put a little box around it so you can tell that that's my status report field. There. That looks pretty good at this point. Now, at this point, what I've done is I've shown you how to build reports from scratch, use tables, use charts, and also how to create filters and custom fields. I've also shown you how to use drawing tools so you can draw shapes onto your screen. And this allows you to, and this allows you to put anything. So if you wanted to, for example, highlight something that's really important, you could draw an arrow and then type a text box like this. Okay, so you can actually just draw whatever you want on the screen. I'm going to remove this, but it just kind of gives you an idea as some of the capabilities that you have. So this is looking pretty good at this point. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like when we print it. So I'm going to go to the File tab here and choose Print. Now, here's another tip for you when it comes to report development. On your screen, reports look great when they're centered, but when you want to print them, Microsoft Project does not get rid of the white space automatically. So you can see there's a lot of white space being used on the left side of the screen. And you can also see on the right-hand side of the screen, the graphic is going off the side. So we need to fix this, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to fix your report so it will print well. But one of the things that this does highlight for you is if you create your own reports, what you want to do is either design them so they run down vertically, so when you print them or save them to PDF, that people can kind of not have to tape pages together. And also keep in mind that you really only have about 4 quadrants: a top left side, a bottom left side, a top right side, and a bottom left side. You probably don't want to do much more than 4 quadrants in a single report. If you get to that point, you probably want to design a new report. I'm going to press the Escape key so I can get back into my report. And there's a few things that I want to do. First of all, I want to get rid of this white space. So the way I do that is I just press Control A on my keyboard, and that selects everything. Now, you can also just go ahead and draw your mouse and select everything as well. But I'll just do Control A, and I'm going to take everything and move it up here to the top left, like this. The other thing that I'm going to do is shrink down the tables. Now, this is actually something that a lot of people have asked me about, because usually you're here in the Report Design tabs and the Layout tabs, and I'm clicking on all of these, and here are the font options on the right-hand side. You have Quick Styles to kind of do these fancy style fonts. You have colors and outlines, but what you don't have is the size of the font. You actually don't use the Report Tools tabs to do that. You come back here to the Task tab, and here in the Task tab, this is where you can change the font size. And here what I'm going to do is change this font from 14 to 10.5. And that's starting to look a little bit better. I'm going to do the same thing with this table. I'll make that 10.5. And because I need more space horizontally, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just shrink the table a little bit here. And try and get this laid out so it looks a little bit better on the screen. I can also change the column sizes. If I just bring my mouse here to the separator for the column, you can see I have a little double icon here that allows me to stretch each one of the columns. I'm going to do that over here too. And I'll go ahead and resize these titles. Again, I'm doing a shift click to select these. And of course, if I want now, because I've got a little extra space, I'll just go ahead and shift click both of those and move it up. Whoop. Try that again. There we go. And finally, I'm going to take the cost curve and the status report and move them over here. Now let's see how that looks. Great, that looks great. I just pressed Control P on my keyboard, and I can see that the report now fits on one single page. That's exactly what I want. Now there's a few more tips that I want to show you here when it comes to using reports. First of all, this title page here, we might want to expand this so it kind of looks good with the rest of the report. And this is just a normal text box, so I can actually do things like maybe change the title and give it a little bit of extra pizzazz there. And now the report's looking good for me, but one of the problems that you have with the report as the homeowner is this little line here. It's just kind of doing this jagged, sharp edges, and you kind of want to get a better sense as to what that curve looks like, because we're not really displaying a curve right now. So if I click on individual elements of the chart, you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and, let's see if I can get that one. There we go. Okay. What I can do is format this, and I'm not sure why my format option's not coming up here. There we go. I'll double click on that line, and let's get there. And with any luck, format data series. Oh, we will not continue down this path. I'm not going to bother you with that right now. I can't seem to find the feature there. I think it just might have to do with my my settings on the screen right now. But one of the things that I also want to point out here for you is that we've got a problem. This late tasks table is orange, and that means this orangish red means that the table is showing something that's bad. But over here on this area, what you can see is that the table is showing orange, but this orange is not bad. So this is something I really want you to think about when you're building your reports, is the colors that you're using should remain consistent. So these blues are okay, the oranges / reds are bad. So we don't want to necessarily have this displaying as orange. There's a few ways I can address this, but this is my favorite way to do it. I just go to Report Tools, click the Design tab, and then there's this Themes pick list. And in the Themes pick list, Colors pick list, the Colors pick list, you can see that there's a number of different color options that you can choose. And what you can find is maybe one that doesn't display that orange color. And again, I think what's happening here is because I'm sharing my screen, sometimes the colors don't necessarily change the way I want. Let me see if I can choose another color scheme here. Oh, that's changing everything. Sorry, that was my fault. I was supposed to click on Get Chart Tools in the Design tab. Notice there's two Design tabs. It can be confusing for everyone, including people that have been working with this tool for a long time. I'll go ahead and choose Change Colors now. There we go. This is what I want. And I can change the colors for that chart. And now you can see that the orange is gone. And you can also see up here at the top of the screen, there's different layouts that you can choose. So you can, for example, really highlight this chart by choosing a different background. But I'll just go ahead and keep the chart laid out the way we have right here. So now that we have a report that we like, we're done. Okay, all we really need to do is click the save icon at the top of the page, the top of the project, and save the project itself. We don't need to save the report. So notice when I come to the report tab, there's no save option here. So here's what we need to do though, is I might want this report for another project. Or maybe you're a project manager and you say, hey Bill, I like that report that you did for that client, for that homeowner. Could I get a copy of that? So here's another tip for you. There's actually a few ways that you can go about doing this. But I'm going to show you the way that I really do recommend that you do it. What you do is, let's go ahead and create a brand new project. I'll go ahead and create a blank project. And you're asking me to send you a copy of the report, but you don't want the whole project plan. So you send me your project. So this is your project. And you'd like to have my report in here. So what I'll do is open up, I have my project still open and your project. Okay, so if we come down here, you can see I've got two projects open, mine and yours. I'll go to the File tab. It doesn't matter which project is open, and choose Organizer. Over here at the bottom left, you can see Show Views Available in the New House project. That's the project I was just working in. And then Views Available in Project 1. That's your project. So I'll go here to Reports, and I'll choose the Homeowner Dashboard and copy that. Now this is where people kind of get tripped up sometimes. They say, hey, my project isn't quite working, the report isn't quite working the way I expected it to. Well, the reason for why that's happening is because you also need to copy over a few other things. First of all, remember we created a custom field. That custom field for the 30-day planning window, we need to copy that over. And then I used a filter that uses that 30-day planning window. So I'll come over here to Filters and choose that 30-day outlook and click Close. Now, this project, this new project, if we come to the custom, there's the homeowner dashboard. Now, it doesn't have any field information in it because we really don't have anything other than that one task that I just created. But now it will just run. You can use this in your project. So once again, I'm just going to repeat that. You go to the File menu, you go to the Info section on the left side, and you choose the Organizer. And make sure if you're copying your report, you're copying fields and filters if you have any in that report. There's one other way to share information, and this is something that you normally do. I'm going to close this project I was just working with there and head back to my working project. There's one other thing that you might want to do. Maybe you need to build another report that's similar to this. So you're just working here in your project, and you click on Report, you say New Report, you create a new one, and you call this the Contractor Report. Well, what if you want to get that cost curve copied over? So what you can do is just go to the Report menu, choose Custom, find the report you want, select the area you want, Control-C to copy, go back to the custom reports, and paste in your cost curve. There. Now you have that information copied. These are not related. You can resize this, modify fields, add other information into this report, resize it, change the colors, whatever you'd like. But that's not going to change your original report, which is here. So all you did was just made a copy of it and put it into another project. So I just shared a whole lot of information with you, but believe it or not, we did actually go through the top 10. So here we go. We took a look at building reports. We created our own, using built-in reports rather. We created our own reports. We used tables to display project information. Remember, the tables are columns and rows. We used charts to visualize the project's data. Those are the any kind of a pie chart or a line chart. We created a custom field that allowed us to add uniqueness to our report. That was the 30-day planning window. And then we created a filter to use that custom field so that we could look at just information that was pertinent to the consumer of the report. We also used some drawing tools to brand our reports. Remember, we added a logo, we put some headers on top of all of our charts and graphs. And we also used that canvas to really make it look good. And we did that by also going to the print preview section and making sure not only does it look good on my screen if I'm going to project it, but it also looks good if I'm going to print it. And remember, with Microsoft Project or all of Microsoft Office, most people nowadays have a PDF driver on their computer, so when they go File, Print, they can also print to a PDF file. Most people have the ability to do that nowadays. And then finally, I also shared with you how to use the organizer so that you can copy your reports from one project to another. So with that, I think we've got just about 15 minutes. There's a chat window on the right-hand side of your screen if you're watching this webinar live, and you can go ahead and feel free to ask any questions that you might like. There's also someone else on the webinar. Her name is Cecilia. She might be asking some of the questions on my behalf so that I understand what they are. I'll make sure that I repeat them. If you have any questions or want to follow up, you can email me at bill.raymond@canberramass.com. My email's up on the screen right now. And you'll also notice at the bottom of the screen that there will be a special offer for you and a link to download this sample Microsoft project file that we're working with. So with that, I'll hand it over and ask Cecilia if there's any questions.
Hi, Bill. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions. One is about sharing the report. Someone says, how about sending the report by email?
Oh, right. Okay, so how about sharing the report via email? You know, what's interesting about sharing these reports is there isn't necessarily a share menu that just copies that report. So there's a few things that you could do. You could just copy everything in that report and paste it into your email. That would be one way. Or the other way to do it would be to use a file print menu and save that report as PDF.
Cool. We have a couple of other questions that were submitted earlier. Sarah asked, where can I get additional reports?
Okay, that's a good question. And what I'm going to do is go back here to Microsoft Project. And the question is, where can I get additional reports? I've just shared with you a project report that is kind of custom. It uses a custom filter and view, but you might be managing a specific type of project. So what you can do is come to the File menu and choose New. And Microsoft Project provides a whole library of templates that are online. Some of them are installed on your computer and others are online. But what's really nice about this is most of them come with reports now. So, for example, if you're managing a project that's maybe more agile software development, you can go ahead and create this. And you can see this is focused on agile terminology, sprints, product backlog, and what have you. And so, what I'd suggest that you do is just go to File New and locate a template that has the project that has a report that you might like to use.
Cool. We have another question. Can I copy a report?
Yeah, so to copy the report, you can either use the organizer like I showed you, but you can also come to the report tab and you can select details of the report or everything. Remember, Control A is your friend, and you can copy things. I just did a Control A, then I did a Control C, and that way when I come to a new report, oops, let's just go ahead and create a new report, I can go ahead and just paste that in as well. So those are the two options, the organizer and copy paste.
Great. And we've got one last question so far, which is there an easier way to see all the available reports?
Right. So the question is there an easier way to see all the available reports? Now, when I clicked this report tab earlier, you saw me clicking through and clicking all of these different icons. And when I select one, it changes. Maybe what you could do here instead is go to the report tab. And in any one of these pick lists, there's always a more reports option. See how it says more reports? No matter which one I click, I'll always get the same window. And here you can get a better view as to what reports are available without having to click all those pick lists and icons on your screen.
Great. Well, that's all the questions we have so far, Bill.
Great. Great. Well, with that, then I think what we'll do is wrap up the session a little bit early. I want to thank you all very much for your time. Once again, I'll just sort of wrap up one last time here. This will be available on YouTube for you to view later. And we do have an offer on that page for you to take our Microsoft Project Fundamentals course. There's a discount on that page. And also, of course, there's the link to the Microsoft Project schedule that we're using. That's the same schedule that I use in the GoSkills training program. And included in that is the report that we just built today. So thank you all very much for attending today. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.